Let's be honest, it's impossible to come to a general consensus of what the best movie scene actually is. We've all got our favourites, all for different reasons. Some of us have got more than one favourite movie scene, and the order of them changes all the time anyway, and I'm one of those people. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos on what I think are the best movie scenes of all time, and we're starting with a banger. Quite literally. When I was growing up, my parents liked to watch Clint Eastwood films, so from a young age I was tuned into the goings-on of 1970s San Francisco with all of its crime, politics and boobies.
How's he creeping, Tom? You getting an eyeful, you goddamn pie hawker?
We ought to call the police.
I am a police. Oh.
Well, that and Right Turn Clad. No wonder I've turned out the way that I have. But even as a youngster, I recognised that due to its writing, soundtrack and direction, Dirty Harry was a brilliant film, and two bookends, which I'm counting as one scene because they do complement each other, stand out. Do you feel lucky? Quoted countless times over the decades, often incorrectly, there is more to this collection of words other than how cool they sound. You just need to listen and watch closely.
This is about a movie about a couple of killers. Harry Callaghan. And a homicidal maniac. The one with the badge is Harry.
Halt!
Directed by the great Don Siegel and released in 1971, Dirty Harry sees Eastwood star as the titular character, Harry Callaghan, a earn-nosed cop who barely plays by the rules. It's a trope now, of course, but it's a trope because it worked brilliantly in the first place, and Dirty Harry absolutely contributed to the popularity of earn-nosed cops who don't play by no rules. The film is inspired by the real-life Zodiac killer, who was a serial murderer who combed the San Francisco Bay Area between December 1968 and October 1969 and was never caught. The Zodiac killer murdered 5 people, injuring 2 others, and then just seemingly disappeared.
Search goes on in San Francisco for the man known as the Zodiac Killer. The elements involved today included psychiatrists, astrologists, and police guards for school buses. Terry Drinkwater reports.
School children are nice targets. I shall wipe out a school bus some morning, shoot out the tires, and then pick off the kiddies as they come bounding out. That was the threat of the Zodiac Killer. Now, every day, police cars follow the buses which would be likely targets. Officers armed with shotguns take the threat seriously. The psychotic killer has already murdered 5. The Zodiac Killer seems to crave publicity. He sent letters and cryptograms to newspapers and the police, recounting his crimes, threatening more murders, and making Bay Area residents very edgy.
The self-coined nickname was communicated to the public via a series of letters to local newspapers. These letters also included several cryptograms and ciphers from the person that purported to be the killer. However, only 2 of the 4 known puzzles have ever been solved. The first was in 1969, while the second was cracked as recently as in 2020. Both were taunts. The first was an apparent motive, while the other was a jab that was directed at the police. One of the unsolved puzzles is said to reveal the killer's name, as it follows the killer writing in the letter, "My name is," before the symbols he uses as his code. Comprising of only 13 characters, experts believe that it may not even be solvable without any additional context. So, as you can imagine, the case remains one of the United States' biggest unsolved mysteries. Even more unsurprisingly, the case has inspired several media depictions, both factual and fictional, including, of course, Dirty Harry. After the opening 10 minutes of Dirty Harry, which sees a sniper who later refers to himself as Scorpio, who was brilliantly played by Andrew Robinson, kill a young woman while she's swimming in a rooftop pool. Scorpio then demands money or he'll kill more people. Cue a panicking mayor and the police force. This is when we meet Harry, and after a search around the rooftop area on which the killer operated from, Harry takes a break and settles down with a hot dog, as you do. Then a bank robbery occurs, as it does in San Francisco.
Oh, shit.
Harry swings into action as the robbers try to make their getaway. First, he warns one of the robbers. Notice how Harry shouts a warning, then only fires after he is shot at, and he ends up taking some pellets to the leg for his trouble. This is seemingly policing by the book, not so dirty to be honest. After taking out the getaway driver and another accomplice after firing a number of other shots, Harry, who is still chewing on his hot dog by the way, then approaches the person who shot at him. He notices the injured man reaching for his weapon and utters another warning. A warning that went down in movie history as one of the coolest lines ever.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Notice while saying the line how casual Harry was. He was playfully uttering a phrase that he has doubtless practiced many times before. Of course, he knows how many rounds he has left. He is clearly bluffing the guy, but the guy doesn't know that, and it's through the casual delivery of such a cool line that he decides not to reach and pick up his gun. It's Harry's demeanour that tells him he's got shots left. However, his curiosity gets the better of him. He gots to know.
I got to know.
Harry obliges and he casually strolls back, cocks his handgun and presses the trigger. The robber gasps. Empty. Son of a bitch indeed. Classic bluffing while under pressure. Now let's take a look at the second scene, or part 2 as I call it. After an arduous journey during which Harry and Scorpio play cat and mouse across the city, with police officers and members of the public injured or killed in the process, it all leads to the crazed killer stealing a school bus and driving down to a quarry. Here, Scorpio takes a boy hostage and implores Harry to drop his magnum, or he'll shoot the boy, and he would. He's nuts. Just as it looks like Harry is acquiescing and lowering his weapon, he suddenly brings it back up and shoots Scorpio in the shoulder, something you very rarely see during hostage situations in films. Personally, I appreciate this as it makes total sense. I mean, why wouldn't he be a good marksman? I mean, he trains for it, as we see in the following movie, Magnum Force.
Bad.
Anyway, Scorpio is down, which gives a magnum-toting Harry the opportunity to utter the same speech he did earlier in the movie, except he didn't. Well, not quite.
I know what you're thinking, punk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I forgot myself in all this excitement. But being this is a .44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and will blow your head clean off, you've got to ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Oh no! What happened? Oh no! How terrible! That's just awful! How terrible! Oh no!
Remember, the first scene was Harry being jovial. He was bluffing the robber, who, let's face it, didn't have a realistic chance of reaching for his weapon before Harry could get to it anyway. In this one, well, look and listen how angry Harry is. He's daring Scorpio to pick up the gun. He wants him to reach for his gun. And you know why? Because once again, Harry knows exactly how many shots he has left. This time though, he has won. This is a nice twist for the audience because we may be expecting him to have none left like in the first scene, and once again he is using the speech as a technique to bluff the guy. No, this time he's using it to dare the bad guy to reach for his gun, and therefore he can legally blow his head clean off. Or in this case, the centre of his chest. The clincher for this is the last line. Just look and listen to how Harry says, "Well, do you, punk?"
Well, do you, punk?
Roughly translated, it means, "Go on, pick up the gun, you prick." Scorpio's face tells us that he's taken the bait. He hates being called punk, apparently, feeling that it demeans him, and he ends up reaching for his gun and receives a one-way ticket into the underworld. Also notice when, compared to the first scene, that Harry delivers the speech slightly differently. He's so angry that he's forgot the exact sequence of words. The first scene was well rehearsed. He's so carefree that he can just rattle it off perfectly. The second, not so much. He actually misses words out. And what were the words that he missed out? I kinda lost track myself. Well, that's one theory. For a while, I thought that this was an intentional nod to him being so angry that he forgot the words. But now, on a rewatch, I actually suspect that he's missed the words out because he hasn't lost track of how many rounds he had left, and this was a subtle nod to the audience that this was another bluff. Sure, he didn't lose track of how many shots he had left in the first scene either, but he was bluffing the guy in that one, and by extension bluffing the audience, and he didn't want the bad guy to make the move toward his weapon. In this one, though, he wants Scorpio to pick up his weapon, and the audience was clued in this time. If you count them, from the moment when the end chase starts until the final speech, he fires 5 shots from the 6-shot magnum. Whatever the reasoning behind the missing words, it's a prime example of how well written this movie is, and why it's one of the best scenes, part 1 and 2, in movie history. So, what did you think of the scenes? What other moments from Dirty Harry and the other films in the series did you like? Have you ever recited a speech in public yourself? Were you told that you were cool or cringe? Let me know in the comments, and come back soon for some more of my favourite movie scenes.